Charles Leclerc wins the British Grand Prix. Second win this year for Ferrari. Fantastic.
First win for Leclerc since 24.
Since here in Austin in 2024.
That's a long time ago.
This is Jon Massengale. That's Jonathan Green. Bob Varsha's with us, and Chris Medland will be joining us from Silverstone here in a few minutes. A little bit anti-climactic. Wait a minute. Chris is joining us as we speak. I hear his mic lighting up. Chris, Leclerc wins. A little bit anticlimactic, though, with the safety car finish. And we start off with Chris without I think he dropped off. But, Jonathan, I'll go to you. Anticlimactic for sure.
No, John. I think you misunderstand the whole point of the British Grand Prix. It's not anticlimactic. That was planned. We finished. We like queuing. We like to finish line astern after you, at a slow pace. That's how we do it. Tea and crumpets shall be served in the foyer.
Okay, Bob Varsha, can you take care of this for me?
Well, I think it's clear that that the race director wanted to let the folks who had streamed out of the track with a couple of laps to go to get the jump on the traffic and go home.
Good point. Yes. Very good point.
The finish was. Yep. Nothing changed on the last couple of laps.
Oh, boy.
Seriously, I think it's such an affirmative result for Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
You talked about his woes, his change in attitude, his discomfort in the car. During his interview, he recounted the crashes and all the problems he's had thus far this year. So I think this, in so many ways, was a much-needed victory, and I'm glad to see him get it.
And let's be clear, this was not an accident. He had a great qualifying. He had a great start, put himself at the beginning, right at the start, and did what he had to do. Yeah, there was lots of safety cars and punctures and failures and spin-offs by Max Verstappen with a late safety car. So
and the guys behind him got lucky. Russell could have been a sitting duck, given that he was on medium tires while Hamilton was on soft. And so if they'd have done 2 laps or 1 lap even, Hamilton could have potentially got him at the end there. And, of course, Hamilton is just pleased to be there because he had a 5-second penalty, remember?
Well,
jump start.
Unfortunately,
he may have another one.
Yeah, he had a safety car infringement under investigation. And apparently in about 3.5 minutes, we're going to find out. Well, he's going to the stewards. So we'll find out.
How about this as an idea? So how about we stop the stewards working 15 minutes after the race? All decisions have to be in. You know, it's kind of like they're air traffic controlling at that point. Oh, we got to get this one. Oh, what's the decision on that? Okay. And then we say, okay, you're out.
That's actually the best idea I've heard in this situation, because we need to stop paying them after 15 minutes. We don't need to wait hours and hours or days. Yes.
Tribunals in France and Paris.
Yeah. But fantastic for Ferrari, right? Fantastic for the championship. And by the way, something pretty significant that has happened in the Drivers' Championship, because George Russell is now 1 win. He's 25 points behind Antonelli.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge. It's 179
because if the swing had gone the other way today, it would have been 2 race wins ahead.
Yep. Yeah, and fantastic for Ferrari, because in the Constructors' Championship, they have opened the gap really to Mercedes more than anything else. They're still a long way off of Mercedes, but it looks a little better, 333 to 255, but they've opened the gap up to McLaren a little wider here with that two drivers on the podium here. So now we have to wait and see what happens with Hamilton, and
so
Leclerc said not the win I dreamt of.
I still don't know, because it was all lastminute.com. So what the infringement was, passing or not slowing under a yellow?
I don't know. In fact, we have a printout.
Dun, dun, dun.
It says driver below and team representative required to report to the stewards at 1700 in relation to the incident below. Driver Lewis Hamilton, alleged breach of Article B1.8.4 of the FIA regulations, and that is all it says.
Okay.
Pedro Lamy is on that list, by the way.
Good old friend of mine.
Yeah,
Portugal.
I knew you knew him. Anyway, the stewards is who that's from. So we shall see what happens with that. but we had plenty to enjoy during that race too.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I was pleased that my guesstimate yesterday that the use of energy would be far more predictable than it was in the sprint race. And I actually think this is going to become a pattern with these rules. That yes, you can use it to get into a nice dogfight, but as we saw with Verstappen ahead of both Russell and Hamilton, as they fought, they lost ground to Verstappen. And going back to Verstappen, shame for him, but I immediately said to you, boy, that's Austria again from qualifying, and I think it kind of was.
Well, apparently that's what the first indications are, that it was the rear wing failure.
It looked like a mechanical.
Yep.
Because first of all, it's such a high speed. That corner's like 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, another high-speed corner.
I mean, the argument would be, if you looked at it without seeing the back end of the car, you'd say he drove too fast into that corner and lost it, but he didn't.
But the way also, first of all,
it snapped. It snapped,
and then he almost was able to grab it, but it did look very much like Austria, and so we'll see if that turns out to be exactly what happened.
Well, it would make sense if it is exactly the same component and the same failure. They've only had how many days? A week, basically, to repair it, even if they knew what it was. So, Red Bull's going to have a hard look at it before you go to Spa-Francorchamps next week.
Yep.
Well, let's go.
That place is really fast.
Let's go back to Antonelli's pit stop, because he had the front wing. They replaced the front wing. That came completely out of the blue. It looked like that Antonelli was going to catch Leclerc because he was making up time very quickly. And with this, new rules and new energy, it was probably a given that he was going to go and pass Leclerc. But then he got a new front wing, and then he had another problem with the front, and they pitted him again and pulled that part off.
We're all in bewilderment of this young man because he's doing so well. But I think what played out today was an insight into how mature he is and how in control of what's going on he is. Because Bono was advising him, because he was very close to the points. In fact, he was ahead of Colapinto when the problem happened, and he was the one saying, "No, I'll stay out until I'm out of the points," which is when he got the 5-second penalty. And I agree with him. He should stay out, because that wasn't his track limits. Was not because of gaining. He wasn't gaining advantage. He had a broken car, and he said that to Bono. And I just thought the maturity and headstrongness of him saying, "No, I'm staying out."
It wasn't my
frankly
fault.
The team were like, "Oh, we should retire. We're out of this." And that was a poor sort of. I thought Antonelli was right in that case.
Well, and the number one thing is consistency, right? Bob, didn't this happen in Miami and to Leclerc, and he ended up not getting penalized because it was because of a car failure? I think it was Miami.
Well, maybe so, but I kept waiting for Peter Bonington, Antonelli's engineer, to come on and say, "Let's not talk about your damaged car, because that in itself is an infraction. You're not supposed to be driving a damaged car, and you get penalized for that too." Yeah. So, although I totally agree that Antonelli was very clever to be thinking about the alternative. Should I box? Should I not?
Yeah.
Very mature, but he's got to read the rest of the rule book.
Yeah, and you're right, Jonathan, that he was great on the radio and he was keeping calm. But go ahead. What do you got?
No, I just want to pick Bob on that. What do you mean by read the rest of the rule book in terms of what?
Well, they learned that he's not allowed to drive a damaged car around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
It was not visually clear that the car was damaged. So
okay.
Don't get on the radio and tell the world. That
he could have got a penalty for that. Is probably what the team were thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to work out here. Let me see if we still got live timing up, where Hamilton will end up with a 5-second penalty. I'm assuming it was very tight at the top. Yeah, it was. It'll be. He could move to.
Could be
6.
Behind Norris. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he will be behind Norris for sure. He may be behind Hajar and even Lawson right there, because it's Yeah, it's 3 seconds, 4 seconds. He'll probably end up in sixth place.
By the way, shout out to RB.
Yeah.
Again,
exactly.
1 and 2. I mean, can you remember back to last year where Alpine couldn't have a consistency of anything?
Yeah.
And they were going out of business, and it's all going horribly wrong, and they don't have anybody at the top. They're rudderless. I remember my comments. Now they're like the most consistent midfield team there is.
Yep. And Lando Norris ended up finishing well and down in fourth, but he, I wrote down in my notes, he had a tremendous wheel spin at the beginning. Remember, he dropped way back, and his tires were just spinning. I saw the replay. So that was a big error on his part to start the race like that. But how about the Ferraris at the start of the race, though? They both rocketed out. Antonelli.
Terrible start.
Yeah, terrible start. I had some of the stats that I snapped on my phone real quick, but the fact that he ended up, here they are right here, the 0 to 200 kilometers. Leclerc was at 5.25 and Antonelli 5.75.
Yeah.
A full half second in 0 to 200, and that's what we saw. So both Ferraris, and the reaction time was better for Leclerc, 0.21 versus 0.23 for Antonelli. So, and again, that was really Leclerc's, key to this thing, is to get out front at the beginning of the race, wasn't it?
Yep. And I mean, that was the plan all along, and they executed superbly on it. We talked about the small turbos and all that kind of stuff. But certainly Hamilton said it straight. We need to get on him in the first lap of this race, otherwise he'll be gone. And that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lap 34, Russell with a slow puncture. We don't see that very often. In fact, remember, he was still racing hard.
Well,
he was still passing.
Again, it's a bit like Antonelli's situation. If that's the case, surely it's the driver to interpret whether the car feels like he can't run, because he was running for at least a lap at a normal pace.
Yep.
And fighting for overtakes.
Right. In fact, he did an overtake
Yeah.
after that radio message. We don't know the exact timing.
And then he did an overtake on Verstappen while coming into the pits.
Yeah. Yeah. And that actually was under investigation. But it made me think, I wonder if it's such an important sensor, right? Because you said, well, maybe the sensor's bad.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have a puncture.
Do you think when you work in Formula One, you walk in there and go, hi, nice to meet you, Jon Massengale. You do know you're under investigation. It's kind of like it's sort of like, nice to meet you, but I'm not gonna make a qualifying decision on you until the stewards.
You're under investigation as you walk in the door.
Yeah.
Made me think about do they have a redundant tire pressure sensor, because it's such a crucial one, but that's just the nerd in me.
there's every reason to think that Mercedes would know before George that the sensor would predict that, but it's still got to be the feel of the driver.
Well, we saw a lot of cars having a hard time. The Hulkenberg, lap 38, ended up. And what was that spot that he ended up? It was like the old pit entrance.
Yes, so that is if you know Silverstone, the second part of the track, the Luffield area, Woodcote, Copse, etc. That was the old pit lane, and he really was right at the pit entry of the old pit lane.
Yep. Piastri, another one with bad luck.
Yeah,
because he was having trouble right at the beginning.
Right. He evidently he and Lawson came together, according to Zach.
Yep. Front wing,
which makes sense because they were pretty close together. Probably Lawson got either a decent start from where he was and caught Piastri, and or they came together side by side, and Piastri's wing.
It was right front to left rear.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Bob, Varsha, what about
Yo.
What about the? I was thinking about the difference between the way Antonelli was on the radio versus Hamilton. I was listening to Hamilton, and he was talking, and he was being calmed down. He was saying, "You're doing well, Lewis, and be patient." I mean, it's just the different style of those two. It's something the contrast kind of struck me. What about you?
Well, definitely. I think if we could listen to all 22 of the drivers, we'd find so many different
styles. Yeah.
What's the right word? Temperaments, and the way they express themselves, and the relationship they have with their race engineer. Lewis is surprisingly quiet unless something is really bugging him. Antonelli obviously feels fully embedded in this team, so he's not afraid to raise his voice. And we've heard, wasn't it just last week in Austria that Toto got on and said, "Hey, don't tell everybody what your problems are on the radio." And he is quite the voluble type, let's say. In fact, I would like to hear all of the drivers, particularly in an adverse situation, trying to suss things out with their engineer.
Well, if you don't know this, and this is really for those learning this like I am, you can go with F1 TV on board with each of the drivers. And while you don't
Apple
get...
TV as well.
And Apple. And while you don't get every... you get the radio from, basic radio from each of the teams.
You get what they give you.
Yeah, they get what they give you. So you can stay with one driver and get a better story if you choose to, especially if you see somebody trying to get back up the field or something. It's worth listening in and going on board for a few laps to see what they're thinking.
Yeah. So I want to point out some great racing, a great job today. Isaac Hajar out-qualified Max, and of course, out-finished him in the race and finished fifth.
We didn't make enough of that, I don't think.
Yeah.
That is, I've been
he was racing him hard.
Yeah, and I've been banging on about 310s, helmet marker, whoever his teammate is has to be within 310s. He said it to Lawson. He said it to, every other driver, Perez, you name it. And so far, Hajar has done more than that because he's finally out-qualified him. And beaten him in the race. And I mean, if you're Hajar, you've got to go back to Team Hajar and go, all right, I got this.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go. Look, Max has had 2 failures with his rear wing, but still...
That doesn't change the qualifying.
It doesn't change the qualifying. It also doesn't change how he was racing him. He was racing his teammate in this race today and looked very competitive.
It's interesting. We all heard Verstappen say balance, straight line speed, and then you saw... his final comment as he got out the car, fudge this was his.
He said.
I think he was talking about chocolate or something or some item.
Some other F word.
Yeah.
So,
food? No.
Yeah, but
my point is, he's been complaining all weekend about the car, both from the sprint to the qualifying to the race itself. Forget the incident which knocked him out. You don't hear any of that from Hajar.
All right, I'm just checking. I'm going to check online to see if we get an update from the stewards because it's been 11 minutes with Lewis in that room.
Well, it depends if they take sugar.
With
their tea.
They're sitting down to have tea first.
You don't know. The crumpets might not actually be warm yet, so you're not going to make a decision without taking the first bite of your crumpet. I mean, there's protocols, John. Plus, you've got to call
their crumpets over there.
Oh gosh, yes.
I think I'm going to use the same word about the protocols that Max used about his car. So come on, let's get on with this and give us the results of the race.
Oh, tush.
Yeah.
It's such a waste of time. It's very childish. Really annoying.
That is exactly right, Max. We've got a live feed into Max's helmet as we speak. Let me look at driver standings now because Antonelli, like I said, is only one race.
Where are you watching those driver standings?
You have to look at F1 live timing and then click over because there's a transition period where I don't have the race standings unless I go outside the internet and get on the internet. Anyway, it's Antonelli ahead of Russell by one race, 25 points, and then Hamilton right behind Russell by 7 points.
That's good. That's interesting.
And then Leclerc has moved up to within 39 of Hamilton, and then Norris is back at 97, but another about 20 points behind Leclerc. Then Piastri still in there after not having a great race today, and then Verstappen with 76, Hajar, Gasly, and Lawson in the top 10. What are you gonna say, Bob?
No, I was laughing at you, having trouble.
Great race today. Great show today.
Been there, done that.
Yes, and. And Chris Medland is on the ground. He's not connected with us live, but he's on the ground collecting interviews. And Casey, if that one ready to go, so he just sent in Toto Wolff. So let's hear from the Mercedes team boss.
Toto, is that a race that got away from you today? Is it just a bit of misfortune, I guess, for Kimmy with that failure?
Yeah, first of all, it's a bittersweet moment because I'm very happy for George. He doesn't jail with the car at the moment, and then finishing with a P2, I'm really happy for him. And for Kimmy, it would have been an epic fight at the end. He was catching with Charles with big steps. Probably a race victory was really on, and we missed it.
Well, how good was he this weekend in the car?
Yeah, he's exceptional again, and his performance levels of performance are so high that he took his time. He drove like a very, very experienced and mature driver, but it wasn't enough.
Well, the team though made a smart call at the end as well, keeping George out. Did you see that opportunity to jump a place?
I'm a racer, and we were P4 on the road before Verstappen had the problem. Then Lewis wanted to take the risk to win, to go for the win, which fair use. That's how he functions, and we lucked out on that one.
But you did then see that George is now 25 points behind Kimmy, one race victory. Lewis isn't much further back either. Tightening up, how do you think Kimmy will handle this as the gap closes?
Well, he's completely easy with the situation. There's so many more races to go. He still has a healthy gap. We lost 3 races with a DNF, so it's a 75 points for the team, and that's something we just need to get under control.
Yeah, there's been lots of different incidents. Why is that?
Don't know. We're just not good enough on reliability.
All right, well, see you in Spa.
Thank you.
Interesting.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get a quick break in while we can. Maybe we'll get Chris back, and he's on the ground still. So we'll be back after these messages. And with the YouTube comments.
Yeah, a lot of disappointment out there on the YouTubers. Obviously all deflated by the fact that it didn't finish. Bill Ricker points out, and I agree, Verstappen threw his steering wheel out in disgust when he went into his diatribe. Did he put it back? Because that's part of the rules.
Yeah, you're supposed to put your steering wheel back together.
I think he did, but
George didn't George he did that. Did he get penalized for that? Or maybe it was just a financial penalty. Bob says disappointed how that ended. Yep, it was very anticlimactic. Let's see. Bill Ricker score 1 for philosophy.
Joe from Oyster Base says, glad to see Chuck back on it. I agree.
Well, didn't we all say that?
Yeah.
At the beginning
He's
at the end of the pre-show. I mean,
like I said, I feel for
team.
Charles. Go ahead.
Hey, Chris, where are you, buddy?
I've gone to Pretty Wi-Fi to send a Toto interview that hopefully Casey's got.
Yep.
We've done it. Very good. Thank you.
Oh, cool. I've got Vasseur lined up, which means I've got to leave here again in a sec. But did you talk about the reason why we didn't get a race restart yet? The official one?
No.
Okay, I've had the explanation, so I can do that if I do that straight out the break, and then I'll run back to Ferrari. But
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Glide, don't run. You could trip.
Joe says the fans at Silverstone and Monza are amazing, and you cannot argue with that. Man, those scenes around the podium, the way it goes around the corner there, it's a great spot.
Joe from Oyster Bay says the attendance record will be taken by a challenge by Cota. Oh, don't worry. We'll bring in the army. We'll bring in the National Guard.
We'll add a 4th day.
Yes. Yeah. We can put a couple of bands up there. We'll have a skiffle band. We'll get Willie out.
All right, coming back.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to Speed City, America's voice of Formula One.
Tough day for Max Verstappen, but we've got Chris Medland live at Silverstone, and he sent in that Toto interview. He's going to try to go get some more, but before he runs off, he's going to give us an update on why we ended the race under safety car.
Yeah, I hate to explain this one, actually, because I called it when I was in the pit lane just now, and I actually don't know if it came through because I know I dropped out when I was trying to talk to you guys. But it was because race control made the decision to unlap cars too late. So
I thought that.
I felt like it was silly anyway. We're so close to the end of the race. Why lose a lap unlapping cars? Let's just get on with it. We know what happened in Abu Dhabi 21, so it's meant to be all or none. You don't pick a few. You just say, right, lap cars can overtake, or they can't because we want to get a race restarted. Well, because they chose to, the process states, or the article in question states, that one lap must be completed following the unlapping procedure. So you can't send them to be unlapped and then restart on the same lap.
That makes sense.
And the safety car and Charles Leclerc had crossed the finish line to start the penultimate lap before they made that call. So then when they unlapped them, it meant they had to do one full lap, which took us onto the final lap. So it had to end on a safety car. Technically, in that sense, once they decided to unlap those cars, they followed the right procedure. And it was a software error, they said, that displayed the message safety car in this lap. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I wonder if that's actually someone said, no, let's get the safety car in, and someone else said, we're not allowed to. But personally, very frustrated to see that they did not know that regulation themselves and did not realize again that they were tying themselves in knots by leaving it too late to unlap cars and should have just said, let's restart at the end of this lap. So that's why we didn't get a restart. And from what I see on social media, that will not make many fans who watch that race very happy.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I could praise what you just said by saying the FIA know the rules and didn't act in time for them to implement those rules and allow for a finish to the race, which is the priority, everybody says it, from FIA to FOM, to finish the race if possible, if the circumstances things. So the only way you can finish that race was to get the lap cars done quicker, and they didn't do it. And I said to you when they did it, that's too late.
You know, this
Correct.
reeks of people that don't have the confidence to make a decision quickly, doesn't it?
It also reeks of people who are voluntary employees. That this should be like NASCAR, you never doubt an NFL call.
That's right. They
Never.
do. They get it right.
Director. That would be Rory Marquez on that one, who will make the call if they do or don't unlap cars. He'll have had the final say. If we think back to, sorry to bring it up, but Abu Dhabi 21, Michael Massey, it's a race director's decision, and I think that's just too long to make that call. Delayed and just unaware of the regulations in the sense of what it would mean. There are some that have tried to point out that you can say a safety issue is why you don't unlap cars. And I just said that's probably fair, because if you unlapped them and then restarted, then you'd have had cars all over the place at different speeds at the restart. So for safety reasons, you just don't unlap anyone in your restart. So that's frustrating. Who knows how it would have ended up? It could have been a really boring final lap anyway. Who knows?
Right.
But we want to see them race it.
Well, Chris, but isn't that what I mean? That's what I was saying. Rui Marquez, right? I just feel like you have to be great to be in that role, and you have to be confident enough to make that call.
Well, I'm sorry, and I'm going to be the British American here. They all need to sit down, those stewards and Formula One in total, and watch NASCAR and watch how a show finishes, because NASCAR will not upset 200,000 people by giving them a yellow. I mean, unless they have to, because of weather, a poor finish. You had a record crowd there of half a million people. 500,000 people there today. Half a million.
American.
But my point is, that is not the way to finish what was a great show for 4 days. And those people will go home disgruntled, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, Chris has run off to go get an interview with Fred Vasseur. So, but yes. This can't end this way. I mean, we
said that to a girlfriend once.
F1 does everything down to the nth degree, the millimeter, the whatever.
Yeah,
and here we are.
And then it gets, puerile almost.
Yeah.
Maybe they underestimate or overestimate the ability and the experience and the logic of officialdom. It's not like that has never happened before. But Rui Marquez has a sterling reputation. He's a long time in the WEC with the sports cars. He's directed the Le Mans 24 hours on a number of occasions. He's a pretty cool customer. But
Bob, what's the harm in Rui Marquez seeing Verstappen stuck out in the gravel at Stowe, realizing that it's going to take some time, or asking the marshals, how long is it going to take you? This could be a while.
Yep.
Okay. Then he calls up the race director, says, what do you think? I'm going to red flag this. Otherwise we won't get the race in. That's right. And I just did that in 10 seconds. Right. And I don't know the rule book, but that's, and then the commentator said it, why didn't they red flag it? So that we could, because that's what NASCAR would do. They would say, okay, we want to finish under green or green, white jacket, green,
right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought should have happened with Massey in
Sure.
2021 at Abu Dhabi when Hamilton and Verstappen settled a championship that nobody has appreciated ever since. Red flag it. Just everybody stop. You can even move the lap cars to in front of the leader.
Do what you like.
Yeah, because you can do whatever you want.
And you could have a rolling start. You could have a roll. Yeah, obviously,
Plus,
you start behind the safety car.
You can come in, change tires.
Yep.
Everybody on reds if you got them.
Yeah, and suddenly you're building a show and a climax to the show. You know. Yeah, I mean, what would you think if you went and saw Fleetwood Mac and they were like, "Hey, we got time for one more song"? Bugger it.
Yeah.
Climax.
Well, fuel is always the issue with Formula One cars when it comes to extending races. Just stop everybody, clear up the situation, and then go.
Well, especially is that you've got that, what is it, a 4-hour window to run the race total?
Yeah, whatever the window is. There is a time window,
Yeah, well, there was no delays in it.
We had plenty of time.
Plenty of time to do all of that.
Yep. All right, so I want to talk about the last 3 Grand Prix. Would you care to know the points between Ferrari and Mercedes in the last 3 races?
It's a big swing, isn't it?
90 points in the last 3 for Ferrari, 89 for Mercedes.
Wow.
So do we have a championship, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, we do. We really do.
It sure feels like it, doesn't it?
Well, certainly. I mean, I hadn't thought about the manufacturers, but the drivers' championship is hotting up really nicely. And I just wonder. I'm really looking forward to how, with Leclerc with his tail up and feeling like his mojo's back, when we return in Hungary, what are we going to be looking at? We could be looking at a combination of 3 drivers, all within less than a race win, ahead of against each other.
Wow. Now that would be a huge swing from 4 races ago when we thought Antonelli was about to wrap up the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like it.
I have to say it though, even under pressure like today, Antonelli doesn't look like wavering. I mean, you wouldn't say, "Oh, he's got the Achilles heel is this," or "He's only 90." No, those days are gone. I mean, you heard it from Toto in the interview from Chris. He drove a mature drive. He's driving like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, and once again this week, mechanical failures.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know exactly what happened to Antonelli's car because they thought they could fix it with the front wing. That didn't fix it. And then there was the wheel guard. It reminded me of like a dust guard on a road car, like a disc brake dust guard, because it was a flimsy piece. The mechanic just reached in and yanked it out, and that didn't fix it.
And you could see it on board. He was struggling to turn left.
He couldn't turn the wheel would just stop.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah, again, which is why he shouldn't get penalized. I don't know the rules. I just know that they need to be consistent on that rule. If they didn't do it before with Leclerc in Miami, if that's where it was. But looking down the list here, so we talked about the Racing Bulls, both again in the points and really strong into the points. 6th for Lawson, 7th for Lindblad.
Yeah, really impressed with RB all season, I have to say.
And Gabriel Bortoleto in 8th in the Audi. And the 2 Alpines in 9th and 10th, in both in the points as well. And we talked about Piastri because he had all sorts of issues there, including the beginning of the race where he had a run-in with Behrman, but finishing 11th.
Can I say something that will upset one of our big fans, Andy B?
Yes.
Are we saying with Lando on 97 and Oscar on 82, they can't? This mountain is too high to climb for the world champions, given the form of those in front.
Yeah, and I think the constructors for sure, but I think you're probably right. I think that now saying that, I still think, particularly Lando, the way he's driving, and really Antonelli, if he gets a break or two, they could still be affecting. They could still win a race.
And according to Norris in his interview yesterday after qualifying, he basically said, "No, we're not there yet." And it's going to be, until we get our upgrades, which will be the second half of the year, i.e., probably more close to Hungary than now, or certainly not Spa. So they are in this whole, and they haven't got the upgrade of the Mercedes engine. That's expected for Spa. They're not in a position to fight where they want to be at all right now. And I keep making the point that they are the world champions.
All right. Any update on Hamilton's penalty? I don't see anything yet. Maybe the guys on YouTube are monitoring it. Let's see. Oh, Kevin says SkyPad. Well, he says no penalty for Hamilton, but that's a SkyPad opinion. So we'll see what happens. Nothing apparently for sure there. Yeah, no decision. Casey says he's monitoring it officially.
Crumpets are done.
Crumpets are done. Yeah, there's. Can you get on with the actual meeting then?
Oh wait, smoke break.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the post-race interview with Max Verstappen with his car. And you know what? When I saw Max Verstappen dropping F-bombs about this effing car, that blanking car, I started thinking about his future at Red Bull.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And where you said, what did you say? Maybe he would just take a year off.
Yeah,
He's under contract.
I mentioned that Prost did it back in the day. Obviously, Alonso's done it. There's a real
Max would have the
for
guts
the
to do
greats. Mansell did it. There's a real to the greats. There is a real belief that they've given all they can, and Rosberg's decision to retire is another type thing. Sometimes when you put all Rosberg knew he just couldn't do it again.
I think that's what his was too.
And
I completely agree. He looked like that he had just beaten Lewis Hamilton and was like, that's it. First of all, it's not going to get any better, but I just don't think I have it in me to do it again.
Vettel was 35. And when you look at some of the, Hamilton today, you could argue that Vettel could have had 7 years.
It really kind of puts a light on how amazing what Hamilton is doing right now.
It's up there with Messi, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's get a break in real quick, and when we come back, we'll hopefully have some decisions on this Hamilton, and we'll get some more interviews from Chris. Back after these messages.
Okay, I just upset Andy P, but now I'm going to make him smile because I just love what he wrote here. Just a reminder that we still don't really know the Monaco result yet. I bet it'll be coming by Christmas. But he's right.
Yeah.
We don't.
That's crazy.
We don't know who finished on the podium at Monaco.
That is insane, isn't it?
That's how wrong all of, and I'm sorry, this is my high horse of today. It's been a few high horses in the past, but it really upsets me that the sport I love is so badly managed in terms of results. That's all.
Yeah.
Everything else is to the nth degree. Brilliant.
I see Chris got Vasseur, which is great. I love Irv McDaniel. Congratulations to Cadillac. Both cars finished, and no fires.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. And that's funny. And look, we're giving Cadillac all the breaks in the world, just like we would any other team right now, because what they did, putting the team together in the time they did, is insane. So let's see. Joe says true on Cadillac. Perez did have a brake problem, but no fire. There we go. Andy says, go on, Johnny. Get on that high horse.
I know. Well,
he did. By the way, Andy did reply to your, he said, there's only going to be the possibility of race wins for McLaren, no championship defense.
Yeah. No,
I've been there for a while, he says.
Yeah, and I hadn't until this weekend really thought the ghost was up, but I'm looking at the points going, yeah.
What are they saying on Sky right now?
Well, Montoya's telling everybody how much like Antonelli he is. Joleon's wishing he had a career like Montoya, and Alex Brundle is funnier than his dad.
I just got a notification that something is live with IndyCar right now, so we got that this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. They're racing.
Mid-Ohio.
Mid-Ohio, if there's no rain.
Yeah.
That's been a big talking point here, actually. Different people with what's going on with McLaren and Scott Dixon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dixon's quitting Ganassi.
That is a bombshell.
So, here you go, Colton. There's a seat opening at Ganassi if you want to give all of it up.
Chris, obviously we're in the break and now we're coming out. Here we go.
Yep, I'm roaming.
I'm George Russell, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to Speed City, America's voice of Formula One.
All right, welcome back. We got Chris Medland back with us live. Jon Massengale, Chris Medland, Bob Varsha, and Jonathan Green. And Chris, you did get caught up with Fred Vasseur. I guess we can go ahead and set that up now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he was very polite actually today, which I'm glad because he'd won. But I did spend a bit too long complaining about the safety car stuff to you guys. That's my own fault. And he'd finished his media, was chatting to his team, but he took pity on me showing up late. So you could just tell his demeanor. I mean, Fred is never one to look overly positive when he's just chatting with his team, should we put it that way. Sometimes he can be mischievous, sometimes he can be in a good mood, but generally when it's business time, there's a frown on the face. But I could just sense that maybe he wasn't fully satisfied, and maybe it's while he's waiting to find out if there's a penalty for Lewis Hamilton coming. So I will admit, I didn't go barreling in being like, congratulations.
Yeah.
I've got Fred Vasseur here with me, and Fred, let's start with the positives, because I could tell that maybe you don't feel like you got everything out of today.
The only positive.
That you didn't get everything out of today? I was going to say, Charles, finally back on the top step. How pleased are you to see that for him?
Yeah, it's good for him. It was 2 or 3 difficult races, even if he was on the first row last week in Austria. But overall, it was a difficult moment, at least in terms of points and position. But it's good for him, a good reward for him and for the team with the hard job that they did. And I'm more than pleased to have him back today.
It shows the strength of your team as well, that one driver can be strong on a Saturday, another one on a Sunday. For Lewis, what about that decision to make the pit stop late at the end? Was that him being aggressive, wanting to try and win?
No, not at all. It's that if you don't pit, Russell pit, and he's with a new soft, and we are with all hard at the restart. We were just surprised that the race didn't restart, and it is like it is.
Yeah, the reason for that was that the message was too late to let lapped cars overtake, which does seem like potentially an error on race control's part. Do you normally get an explanation for those things after the race?
Yeah, but we even had the message safety car ending and not safety car not ending. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess the last couple of laps.
But it was still another podium for Lewis. He has closed the gap to Kimmy Antonelli with what happened with Kimmy in this race. And your reliability looks very good as well compared to Mercedes with other issues. You coming right back into this title fight on both fronts?
I think you asked me exactly the same question in Barcelona, and the weekend after we were nowhere.
I wasn't in Barcelona.
You lost the pace. It means that the conclusion of the last 2 events is that we have to take it easy. We have to stay calm, to be focused on the next one and not to be focused on something else.
Good pace, though, with that engine upgrade. Are you pleased with just the work the team's doing this season under new regulations?
It's not the engine or the upgrade on the engine that last week we had the same engine. It's more the global work of everybody at home and on track, chasing the last hundreds everywhere, and it's paying off today.
Congratulations. Enjoy the celebrations.
You got Fred there, didn't he? I wasn't in Barcelona.
For once. He is right that we want Ferrari to be a factor, but I wasn't. I'm sure everyone did ask. Is the title now on with this win? 32 points, Lewis to Kimmy now. Which, if you'd have said that 3 races ago, you'd have been like, no way is he going to close that many.
Yeah, Chris, I was talking about while you were off interviewing him, the point differential, the points in the last 3 races: 90 for Ferrari and 89 for Mercedes. So it's a huge swing right now. Amazing. We're just watching Kimmy Antonelli and watching the closed caption, and he was saying, I was within striking distance. In other words, talking about that last lap, Greeny. I'm sure that's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
Saying
he could have done it.
I think with Toto's point as well, it did sound very much like I spoke to a few team members before I interviewed Toto, and they said, look, that was ours to win. The speed that we were showing, the kind of race plot that they were winning that race. I mean, he was reeling Leclerc in. I will admit, I put the mockers on him with a tweet, because I genuinely tweeted out when the gap came below 3 seconds. I said, it just feels like a matter of time. And then 20 seconds later, I'm typing, Antonelli has a problem. So I had ruined it for him. But he's just walked down the paddock as well. Huge scrum of people following him. And he does very well for such a young guy to keep a calm head. He's signing autographs. He's still smiling for photos when they ask. You can see his face drop in between photos. But he's still switched on. He's not batting people away. And fair play to him. At that age, I'm not sure I could do that if I was feeling as disappointed as he must be, given the points that have got away from him in the last 3 races.
Yeah, I just saw an interview with him on the TV coverage, and he mentioned Barcelona. He's like, look, I was in a position to go for it there. Same here. I could have challenged for the win. I felt like it, and that's all I wanted to do. And, you've got to feel for him because so far, so close, so far type thing. And, yeah. But my high point is his maturity is, as you just mentioned, beyond his years. And I said to John in the middle of the race, I think we're witnessing something quite historic here if this kid keeps going like this. Verstappen's first season, remember, wasn't as auspicious as this. Now, he didn't have a Mercedes underneath him, but at the same time, we are watching something quite special.
Okay, my crack research team, Wikipedia,
I know them.
says that this win by Charles Leclerc today, the 250th win for Ferrari.
There you go.
That's a nice round number, celebrating 250 years as a country over here, and
wow,
Ferrari celebrating.
Look at you connecting the dots.
That's pretty cool, though. You're in history now, right?
How many
wins for Charles Leclerc though? Did anyone notice that?
How many wins for Charles Leclerc
in his career?
Is it 8?
9.
9, correct.
Yeah, 9.
Still not hit double figures.
Wow. And, that stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When the teammate has 106 on a sprint race.
Exactly that. Yeah. It's remarkable. But that's another point actually. You've thrown me to a great stat here. I'm just walking down the paddock to see what I can see. But so sprint weekends. A lot of people complain that they're like, well, it's such a shame because it's like showing you the first 20 minutes of a movie that you know how it's going to end. And then you have to watch the same 20 minutes again when you watch the full movie the next day before seeing the ending you knew was coming. And that was a few of the complaints actually yesterday in the media room was you get a sprint and it just shows you whose race pace is good and whose isn't and who's going to win. And of the last 12 sprint races, only 2 have been won by the person that then went on to win the Grand Prix.
Huh. That is a great
only
stat.
Twice has the double been done.
Look at you.
12. Yeah. So everyone who
how big is your research department?
Just me and Wikipedia.
Well, and the wife. Come on, she must give you the odd text.
Oh, she's far too busy right now. She's been producing this race weekend for Sky, and it is quite a big one for them.
She would have yawned at the end of that one then, because having worked for Sky for 10 years, I know exactly how they feel about entertainment. That was a damp squid for Sky Sports, that's for sure.
Hey, so Chris, so I'm assuming that the television, the race direction Sky doesn't do that because
they don't control the race.
I was thinking about that last race when we had the shot of the back of someone's head as we miss a pass on track. I thought, oh my God.
That's Apple trying to throw iPhones into the crowd,
Yeah.
No, it's so Formula One themselves. I'm going to upset my one of my other employers, but that's F1 centrally, Formula One management.
Yeah.
In Biggin Hill, they produce the whole world feed. Yeah. So every TV picture you see comes from one central place by Formula One itself and one director. So it's never your local director messing something up or picking the wrong thing. It's only one person's job, which is actually why I think we then see some of these complaints. It's because they're not going to get it right every single minute of every single lap. And when they get it wrong, the whole world seems to get it wrong. And together all jump on and go, that was terrible. Whereas if it was individually different directors, I guess, in different territories, you'd have them all getting it wrong 3 or 4 times a race, but at different moments, and it wouldn't really be noticeable because you wouldn't have a whole global viewership going, that wasn't very good.
Yeah, and that particular one that I was referring to, I could easily see how it happened. There was a slow moment in the race. They just got really unlucky right then. But all right, let's see what else we got, Greeny. What else have we not touched on? I mean, let's look at the race, finish the race results because
go for it.
We did have 3 DNFs.
Well, I said it, but you got to be impressed. Like I said, regardless of the Verstappen crash, Hajar, great result, great qualifying, great weekend, and likewise the RBs. Again, consistently in the points, Lawson nudging ahead of Lindblad, and great to see Audi. Bortoletto now doubles his points, I think, if I'm right in saying.
And Checo beat Antonelli.
Yeah,
this week. Checo has been...
that's a bit unfair, but
Checo's been outperforming Bottas.
Yeah, it's a lot unfair.
Checo's been outperforming Bottas in the Cadillac. Head to head is where you got to look, and feels like Checo's really been quicker, hasn't he?
Yeah. But to be honest, that's not a surprise to me.
Okay.
I mean, Bottas, it's horses and courses who gets on top of poor equipment. And I don't mean that rudely. I just mean that
they're not there yet.
Perez is a drive the wheels off it. Bottas has been with Mercedes, where he landed in Formula One with a glove, with a golden, with a white glove, saying, "Here's your beautiful car. Go win some races," and he did. So, whereas Perez has been fighting in the trenches for years.
Okay, we may have breaking news, but Chris, do you see any breaking news on Hamilton's penalty or no penalty?
I have nothing as it stands on my email inbox, but I am roaming. Which is always a risk.
Sky is saying the stewards have decided no further penalty for Hamilton, but
they may well be ahead of me in getting the release, but I don't have it yet, and I hope that's not them just assuming. But admittedly, Sky are quite well plugged in with a few people in the stewards' room, so
yeah,
I believe them, but I don't have it myself yet.
Nothing official. Casey will have to hold his breaking news sounder until we get the official alert.
Be a shame.
The official.
The official. So,
you asked if there were any other stories. I know we've been over this ground, but to watch Alonso one lap down as Hamilton comes out of the pits is pretty sad.
I know.
Given that the factory is literally, you can, as you walk out of Silverstone, you're there at Aston Martin.
I think, what did I say when they were showing on the screen the 5-second penalties for Stroll? I'm like, why are we even wasting screen space right now? I hate to say it.
It's really a bad scene. And we've all been looking at this Adrian Newey interview that came out.
That is something we should touch on.
It was interesting.
Yeah, Chris, let me just get your take while we're waiting.
He wrote an article on it, for Racer.
Obviously you wrote an article on this in Racer, but it was pretty revealing, the things that Adrian Newey said during this interview, wasn't it?
Yeah, big time. It's something that Aston Martin themselves said that they were conscious of, that he hadn't been visible, he hadn't been at that many races, and therefore hadn't been very forward-facing and present in the media when he is the team principal. So they wanted to have something from him, and I actually thought they did a good job. It came from the team itself, an interview, but then he did speak publicly as well at an event on Thursday and essentially repeated everything that was in there. But it was pretty revealing, because there was an admission from him, aside from his health, that he has been struggling with some health issues. He's not been 100%, and it sounds like he's still not 100%, but he's on the mend, and that has meant at times he hasn't been able to fully commit to his work or be fully at the factory working flat out. But he said the team's been very supportive around him. But the other admission was that he went with an aggressive aerodynamic strategy or package approach, and that it backfired in some ways, and that he wasn't able to really dig deep enough to notice where there might be issues with it, and that he doesn't necessarily think it's the wrong direction to go with for the car, but it's just that there would have been a number of areas that they would have optimized or improved or changed that they haven't been able to with the time available because they started too late. So he did take some of that on himself, as well as pointing out that a lot of the underlying systems and processes that are in place at the team, regardless of having new equipment and amazing new facilities, but just the way they go about their work, were very outdated, going all the way back to the Jordan days. And for some of them, he felt they were a really restricting approach that was costing the team as well. So essentially, I think he's walked into a bigger mess and a bigger job than he thought straight away. And the best way of putting it, from an off-record chat I had with another senior team member, was that you've got all the ingredients, but you're then looking at the recipe and realizing this cake takes a lot longer to bake.
Yeah, you've only got one bowl.
You thought when you had them.
You've got all the ingredients but one bowl.
Yeah, and it really, to me...
That makes more sense to me.
The first thing that comes to my mind is, after watching some of the stuff you see on Drive to Survive, just the culture that Lawrence... you're at the top. The buck does stop there. But just his style seemed very aggressive.
Yeah.
And I'm all for, hey, if your job is this, you do it. But the culture that maybe he's created, this culture that is just almost a Ferrari-like.
Right, but he's been very generous with his money. I think it's something like 450 million he's poured in over the last couple of years, wind tunnels and all the rest of it, buying Newey.
Sure.
And so these are all good things, but any good manager will tell you that it's fine. It's fine doing that, but if the team doesn't gel, so to speak, and you can see that playing out in the World Cup, you can have all the great players in the world. And it's funny, actually, one of the English players, an old player, Hargreaves, said this. I'm using my soccer analogy, but he said we all had superstars. When I played football, we had 8 superstars, including David Beckham. And he said, but we were never a team.
We've seen this.
And that's the difference between the USA right now, who are absolutely a team.
Yeah, we've seen this in all the sports. We've seen teams put together in the NBA and the NFL with superstars, and it just doesn't work out. All right, guys, we got to squeeze our last break in. We'll be back right after these messages. I was going to skip it. But that could throw off everything at SiriusXM. You'll be lucky if we come back, right? All right, let's check in on YouTube. All right.
They used to blame it on the local guy, says.
Kevin Kelly says, Sky saying, Ham, third place didn't sound official.
Yeah.
Gotten a little quiet out there.
Definitely no document yet, and I know we get it pretty quickly, so I don't think they've decided. From one person at Mercedes, they thought
it's still kind of
a penalty was coming.
Yeah, what'd you say, Chris?
I think the one person I spoke to at Mercedes said that they thought a penalty was coming, but I don't think they had full knowledge. I think just from what they'd seen or what one of their team members had said, they thought that Lewis had gone too quickly under yellow. So we'll see if they were right.
See, it's all very well. The rest of the world is on X. Meanwhile, the stewards are just changing the paper on the fax machine.
That is one of the problems with this process, though. They have to write out a document, and it's emailed, and it goes on a email system very quickly to all the teams and all the key stakeholders it needs to go to. But when they've got multiple decisions to make as well, they'll do them in order that they were logged. So even if it's a tiny detail of someone exceeding track limits, they'll deal with that before they then deal with somebody maybe taking someone out of a race and costing them a world championship, just because that's the order that they came in at. And it means you can be waiting for ages for the big ones to be decided.
Well, Wimbledon's currently on at the moment. Can you imagine if you served your first serve and then somebody shouts fault and then a group of stewards spent the next 20 minutes? Wouldn't add to the game, would it?
No, Hawkeye seems to have done a pretty good job on that front, hasn't it? But
yes.
Hey, with track limits generally, we have actually tidied that up.
Yeah.
If you look at Austria last week, much better because of the semi-automated stuff.
Chris, I mean, this is a
coming back.
I got a long form question for you.
Hi guys, this is Pierre Gasly and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to Speed City, America's voice of Formula One.
All right, welcome back. Jonathan has a long-form question for Chris, but real quick, I want to insert. You remember the Ferrari Luce?
The disastrous SUV.
They got people fired. Well, Ferrari has done it again on their road cars.
No, they shot the other foot? They'll never walk again.
They have shot the other foot. They've released a manual transmission. But guess what?
Of that car?
No. Of one of their gorgeous V12 naturally aspirated 800 horsepower, amazing car, right? The 12 cylindre. But what they've done,
this is hilarious.
This shifter, it's basically a joystick,
and so it doesn't actually change the gears.
It doesn't. It doesn't. There's no physical connection. It's software,
fly by wire.
And I'm like, you know what? They're saying how beautifully designed it is and has amazing feel. I'm like, no one cares.
No.
Why are you? I mean, that is such a stupid.
There's a show for Jay Leno to pick up on.
Yeah, that is ridiculous, and they will. But anyway, I wanted to get that in because I'm incensed by it. So You have a real question for Chris.
I just during the break, Chris, we were talking about the process and how long it takes, and I joked about Wimbledon. If they did that, it would be forever. We're watching a World Cup where technology, AI, sensors in the ball, even, and certainly in an offside situation where if a toe is noticed offside, you can now call it. And they've made a lot of changes, and that is just use of AI, use of technology. And I just wonder, in every other area of Formula One, they are battling. Everybody in the technology world is involved in this. So why not go to some of these companies like a Dell or a Cisco or anybody else and say, we need help here making this for more streamlined with sensors, et cetera, et cetera. Should we not have a real rethink of what is holding back this sport? Because I, for one, do not like sitting here every Sunday giving the sport I love a hard time. But you can't help but when people are going home disgruntled.
Chris, what say you?
Mic drop. Sorry, I was off trying to get an interview, and actually,
you weren't listening to me
halfway through.
No, and by the way, it wasn't meant as to answer my question. I meant when I say a long form, I think it's something for the future to throw out there as journalists.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we push hard when we do get what I would call poor decisions, but not always is it that the instant reaction is the right one, in the sense that sometimes we get a bit more context later on, an explanation. And it's actually what I tweeted out as soon as that happened. Is like, we're going to need an explanation from race control because that looked really badly handled. But that's why you say you need an explanation, because they might be able to turn around and say, well, it was this. Now, in this case, it was really badly handled, but it could have been, for example, that they noticed that there was still some debris on the track that was going to cause some damage. There could have been a marshal that was still out moving something. There could have been an actual safety reason why they went, okay, we're trying to restart, we're trying to do everything quickly, but we're just going to run out of time here. And safety is paramount, so safety has to be the thing that they prioritize. So that's why I'm always like, just because from the outside it looks bad, we do need to wait to get the explanation. On this case, we've had that, and it doesn't match. But I do think sometimes as well, we're guilty, as in general, like fans, media, all of us, because it ruins something we were looking forward to, we criticize and jump to conclusions, and then actually, in the cold light of day, there was no other option.
Fair point. Maybe they were dragging. Maybe Verstappen was dragged into the Norris grandstand. And they were trying to pick him out of there.
That's funny.
And the car.
Hey, Chris, you had. Go ahead, Chris. You have something else?
I was just actually going to say that I had. I've heard some of the comments from Max Verstappen saying it was the same problem that sent him off in Austria qualifying. Yeah. That's his claim, and that he's fed up, which is not particularly music to the ears of Red Bull, given that they're trying to lock him down and secure his future.
I don't need to hear it again. It's really pissing me off.
But he is in a car that's actually pretty competitive, isn't he? He was there fighting for a podium, chasing Lewis for second. This is encouraging, actually, from Red Bull's point of view in terms of performance. But because he just then doesn't get the outcome, and let's be honest, we're not used to seeing Max Verstappen in the gravel, and I think we can accept it probably was a car issue, then his patience is wearing pretty thin already.
And what are your feedback or what are they saying in the paddock about Hajar's feedback on this car? Because obviously we focus on Max because he's the greatest and the best, and we worry that we could lose him. But I don't hear, unless I'm wrong, Hajar saying the same things.
No, but I will admit, poor guy just doesn't really get the focus of people's questions of his time. You kind of praise him for having a solid race, a solid weekend. He was very good, I thought, actually, this weekend against Max. Compared to him, he was right on his pace, and I think that was impressive stuff from him. But they don't really lean on to what he says, because let's be honest, if both drivers have something to say to the team, which driver they're going to listen to at the moment, based on history? It's going to be Max. So the media, naturally, it's Max that we then go and ask about the car and the direction of the team. But I think there's definitely been some comments from Laurent Mekies fairly recently about how impressed with Isaac he's been, and the fact that it does give them a settled situation, that they've got a young driver there who's still learning his trade, but he has clearly got the pace and able to get the pace out in the car. Some of the results he's had have been because of poor starts, which are a Red Bull weakness, not necessarily a Hajar weakness, or the odd incident. But more often than not, his pace has been good, if not like this weekend, very good and right on the same pace as Verstappen for most of the weekend until we got to the race.
Yep. Hey, I want to close the show, guys. Chris, you got a great interview with Colton Herta. We played the first part of that. We'll have the rest of that. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch the rest of that and listen to it. But also, I don't know how many, 2 words sounds like for Ugo Ugochukwu.
Ugo Ugochukwu, yes.
Had the headline on the F2 website was Ugo
Sweet.
devastating form.
Sweet weekend, leading the championship.
Leading the championship. Chris, you following him, obviously. Do you agree with that headline? Devastating form?
Yes,
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
In the sprint race, it was the record margin for
17 seconds. That's
in
impressive.
a short race as well. Yeah. And okay, in F3, sometimes you get incidents that would stop you being able to pull that out, but he absolutely nailed it. And today he was pretty sensible, actually. He ended up only dropping a couple of points to his main title rival Freddie Slater when they were out on track fighting in the feature race, because Slater was fighting for the win and then lost out on the final lap and ended up just ahead of Ugochukwu. And I thought Ugo was going to go for it into the final couple of corners. He had a run. They were kind of going 3 wide. He could have tried to send one to gain a couple of places. And I think he just judged it, let's save the points. So he's doing very, very well.
We got to keep an eye on him.
If you can't say his name, start learning it.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Bob Varsha, Jonathan Green, Chris Medland, and Casey Johns behind the glass. And we'll thanks to everybody for tuning in. And we will talk to you Wednesday for Wheel to Wheel. And we'll be back Sunday night with Speed City next weekend. Talk to you then.
Happy trails.